Okay, let's have some sports talk. It's been a couple days, lots of things have happened, but I really just want to summarize some business issues for you, and I have two data points. First is the University of Indiana, and second is comments coming out of the NCAA president, Charlie Baker. So let's start with Indiana. So, according to ESPN, and this was reporting from yesterday, I believe, Indiana has laid off 25 athletic department employees in anticipation of revenue sharing coming into effect. As we've discussed, under the House versus NCAA settlement, now schools will be able to directly compensate players up to $20.5 million on a revenue sharing deal based on the revenue generated in the athletic program. And so Indiana, trying to figure that out, has laid off 25 employees, and they're trying to trim athletic budgets across departments by 10%. So that means at this point, no sports teams have been affected, no coaches have been affected, and no team staff members have been affected. But if you're kind of non-affiliated with a program in particular and just kind of in the athletic department, obviously, you could have been negatively affected by this reduction in force. So let's look back. The latest numbers I could find from a revenue perspective were for Indiana were in 2023 when they had revenue of 144.7, so $145 million. And that operating revenue was across ticket sales at about 25 million, donor gifts at about 20 million, and media distribution rights around $48 million. Okay. At Indiana, basketball is more popular than football, and so Indiana has higher ticket sales in basketball than football. Now, with that 145 million in revenue, they had 139 million in expenses, and that included scholarships, game guarantees, coaches' salaries. So scholarships about 19 million, coaches' salaries are around 26 million, support staff was around 24 million. So that was the rough spread on the expense side. And at Indiana, at the team level, the football team had 34 million in expense, and the men's basketball team had 17 million in expense. Now, those are the two revenue generating sports. All the other sports were de minimis in revenue generation or non-revenue generating. The number 3 revenue generating sport at Indiana was women's basketball. So when you take women's basketball, men's basketball, and football out of the equation, all other sports had revenue of roughly 5 million and expense at a roughly 31 million. And they have 24 sports teams at Indiana. 700 athletes under scholarship. 700 student athletes approximately 500 get scholarship dollars. Okay, so you see the spread, okay, across the way the money is being handled, and you see what Indiana is trying to do to manage all of that. Now, part of this conversation is the Department of Education has said that revenue share must not disadvantage Title IX, which is women's sports. Okay, and so let's see. U.S. Department of Education said revenue sharing payments must be proportionally distributed to male and female athletes. And so there was some group of people that got their arms all, themselves all tied up in a wad, saying women's sports, Title IX, and poo-pooing on it. Well, when I have 21 sports teams, roughly half of which are men's teams, in the non-revenue generating category, women's sports is not the problem. So we're not going to blame Title IX. So anyway, that's what's happening for Indiana and how they're trying to navigate revenue share and what their revenues look like that are going to be subject to this sharing scheme. And so they've got these, 145 million in revenue. they can contribute up to 20.5 million in revenue share, but they don't have that much excess in the budget. Okay, so they have to figure out what to do. That problem is not unique to Indiana. Now, quickly, let's talk about NCAA President Charlie Barker, because he wants Congress to act. He's like, come on now, I need y'all to do something. He wants Congress to eliminate the possibility of athletes becoming employees. This would be a huge financial burden on the institution. So he doesn't want to see that happen. So he's pushing Congress to act. He also wants them to unify, to create one federal law to get rid of these 30 different state laws that create this patchwork of compliance to deal with some of these issues. Now, NCAA is making plenty of money. Okay, they have a very bright revenue picture. So in 2025, they're projecting that their ticket sales simply from championship games will be $277 million. So no shortage of cash. Okay, and that does not include TV revenue. TV revenue is up roughly 19% to $950 million. And that 19% increase in TV revenue is attributed to, drum roll please, women's sports. Women's sports. So, NCAA is trying to get folks to move. NCAA has plenty of cash. Women's sports is driving the revenue numbers from them, from the TV media rights distributions. Okay. Title IX is not really the problem with managing this rev share. Okay. Non-revenue generating sports are the problem with managing this rev share. And so that's clearly going to put pressure on the system. So those are a couple of business highlights, Indiana and what the NCAA is talking about, and that fits into this overall ecosystem that the athletes have to contend with. Now, quick close with respect to athletes. So the portal continues to be active, notwithstanding the fact that it closed almost a month ago. People have entered the portal today. Okay. And so right now there is 43% availability. So 43% of the people have not gotten picked up. Okay. I can't tell if the people that are entering the portal at this point are grad students who may enter at any time, or if there's something else. I haven't tried to deep dive into those numbers yet. So that's just an interesting thing that, notwithstanding the fact that the portal closed on the 28th of December, the portal has never closed. And people have still entered, and people are still getting picked up. So that's interesting as we consider this notion of this 2-week or this 10-day portal proposal that we've talked about previously that we'll deep dive on, that the D1 or FBS coaches want to see. So that's it for now. I'll circle back later. Take care. Let me know what you think.